what are the things that sort of changed for you now? Like in the last 6 months that you're like, okay, I gotta do this now and I gotta do that.
I just think that I think when you get to a point where I don't even consider myself a big artist or whatever. But I mean, when you have, hopefully Crash and Burn next week will be the number one song in the country, which is crazy. And so for me, that'll be, 4 number ones in a row. And I think that when you get to that point, you're no longer that kid you're no longer the person that really just walks on stage and you hope people are just kind of paying attention. I think you realize that when you walk on stage, there's a lot more eyes that are actually looking at you and wanting to be genuinely entertained. And so I think the difference between what used to be and what is now is like there's a lot more thought that goes into the show. There's a lot more thought that goes into your crew and into your band and what you look like on stage and not wearing jeans from 4 days ago that have been sweated in for 4 nights in a row, but really just taking a look at yourself and being like, am I now the best that I can possibly be before I walk on this stage? And it's not necessarily pressure. It's just like it's fun to know that you have to be the best. You have to be better than you were yesterday. So I think that's kind of the point in my life where I'm at now is just like, this headlining tour that me and Brett are going on is like these people are buying tickets to see us. And so you got to be ready for it and put on the best possible show that you can possibly put on. So
at the ACMs, man, I got the biggest grin out of your deal. You made great use, I thought, of the time you had, and there's nothing. I mean, we all love George Strait and this and that, but then there's always, I always came from having fun on stage, and I never felt like I was nailed down.
Exactly.
And me and Ronnie always had that thing between the two of us. He's like, you don't have to be everywhere. And I'm like, you don't have to be there.
Yeah.
And before,
Exactly.
As time went on, we kind of found compromises with ourselves.
Yeah.
But I only say all that to come back around to you seem to be focusing in a more articulate way of, okay, I'm not just going to bounce around. I'm going to do some cool stuff out here. When did you have that moment with yourself that went, I'm going to try harder and I'm going to do, because nobody's doing that so much.
And I think that's where it comes from, is that nobody's doing that so much. And in any form of entertainment, you wanna be the guy that does something that no one else you hope no one else can do as well as you can. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so for me, when I get out for a show or coming up, we're doing a whole lot of TV appearances and all that kind of stuff. And so really it's making the best use, like you were saying at the ACMs. I knew I had 1 minute and 10 seconds. So what was the best way? I could have got out there and just sang the song with the guitar. But I wanted to get it choreographed. I'd never done something like that before. And so, it looked a little like, what is happening? But I think that's something that people remember.
Yeah.
Whether it's for the good or for the bad, they remember it. And so, for us, the new record is something that you could definitely make a show to. The record is basically a set list. Pretty much everything I do these days is for my live show and for those fans that come out to that show. Yes, we want to be played on radio at all times, absolutely. But for me, man, I want to create a 45-minute to an hour of basically I hit play and you don't have a chance to go get a beer. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that's the goal that I'm trying to get to, is that I want you to, whether you're a fan or whether you're not a fan, I just want you to leave saying, I don't know what that was, but I had a blast watching it. And I talk to Dad all the time about when he used to go to see Hank Jr. in concert, and he used to walk away not saying, man, I loved when he sang Family Tradition. Dad walked away from those shows saying, remember when he physically shotgun blanks out of his microphone stand that was made into a shotgun, and basically just making moments. And what y'all did so well, and not only do you have great songs, but you have the show that backs it up, and that's where we want to be. So
I think most of us appreciate that the people that get babysitters and go through all this stuff that we've been to shows.
Yeah.
And it's a pain in the butt. The getting there and
hard.
Getting out of there and all that stuff is, you gotta want to go do it. And people are excited and they get fired up, and even much better than I do, because I used to love going out in the parking lots and hanging with the crowds. Just, man, they do make a whole event out of it. But when they get there, you want to take them somewhere else.
Yeah.
and you never want them to sit there going, oh,
Exactly.
crap.
Oh,
No,
here's
I
the
gotta-
ballad. Here's the ballad. I gotta go buy a beer during.
And I can't tell you how many times I've been backstage looking at a set list and with a Sharpie and going like that.
Oh,
nope,
dude.
nope. I look out at that crowd
Yep.
and I go, no, there's too many bathing suits and
Yep.
too many people and too many beers in the airs, and we ain't singing that tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're exactly right, man. I mean, I think, we've always been in an age, but more so now. I mean, kids my age, man, I'm talking to myself. I have the attention span of a dang 5-year-old. I mean, even watching movies or watching shows, I get sidetracked. And so, for us, obviously, we want to write great songs. We want to put great songs on the radio. We want to play great songs in our set. But more so, the conversation is how do you turn those great songs into something that Joe Blow in Section 236 is going to remember?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Make it fun.
yeah.
So if just say there was a rule in country music. There was a law, and January 1st this year, you had to take a year off. You get to tour with Brett from October till January, and then you've got to take a year off.
Can't play shows.
And you can't play shows, and you can't write songs.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta set that down for a whole year.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I guess at that point I'd be forced to have a kid. No, I mean, me and my wife have literally every chance we get. You know how this is. No offense to my management that's probably listening in the other room, but when you get time off, a lot of people would think that the first thing we would want to do would be to just sit at our house because we're never at our homes. But what I've realized over the past couple of years is that when you do make yourself available in Nashville, all of a sudden you're not off anymore. You're going to your mom's house. You're going to your grandparents' house. You're going to do this or that at the office. You're signing this guitar for somebody. You're doing that, and it's all fine. But for us, man, if I had a full year off, I think we would literally just go see the entire world. I mean, I'd want to visit every single continent, because that's what we do anyways. Anytime we get a week off, we're traveling somewhere we've never been before.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do as much of that as we can before we try to have a kid. And so, but if I had a year off, man, we'd just 365, just go somewhere different every day.
Cool.
Yeah.
You and your wife have known each other since first grade or
Long
something.
time.
Yeah.
Enough to know the horrible decisions and the best decisions we made growing up. So.
But you've been married.
It'll be 3 years in October.
3 years.
Yeah.
So you guys kind of got married when you were first kind of getting.
Yeah, I didn't have a dime. I mean, I had maybe a publishing check, but I think that's one of the coolest things about us is that, whether I was who I am now or whether I did something in agriculture, I mean, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Lauren likes me for me, which is nice to know that because, I mean, everybody has a wave like you're talking about. And so when that wave has run out, you still got somebody to come home to and figure something new out with your life. So I'm pumped.
I get it. And feel blessed the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make the road work together on a lot of. I mean, if your wife's like my wife, she's out there for a little while, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go back home, and
it's exactly how she is. She comes to the towns that intrigue her, the LAs, the New Yorks, the Seattles, and then pretty much everywhere in between. She'll kind of opt out. Stay home with the dogs.
Do you find it hard when you're out there together that you're kind of in show mode and it's a little more difficult to go sightseeing and being a tourist?
But this year I kind of made a pact with myself that if there was something historical or something adventurous to see in that town, I was going to go do it. Whether it's going to play golf at a championship course or going and seeing Mount Rushmore, which I've never seen. But, just certain things in that town, I always try to get out and go do something because I think if you don't, you know how easy it is to just sit on your bus all day long and then go play a show and your days get monotonous. Yeah. So I try to do something in every town.
That's good.
Yeah.
Crash and Burn, congrats.
Thank
Real
you.
Different kind of song.
Yeah.
Chris Stapleton and
Jesse Frazier.
Yeah, and Jesse Frazier.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had a lot of songwriting success for other people and whatever. I know you like to write songs, and probably a question you get asked a lot, but I think people are always interested. What is it about a song that you hear and you go,
I gotta have it.
I love that. Gotta have it. Didn't write it. Don't care.
Yeah. I think when I first started as an artist, I was such in songwriter mode that I always thought that any song I cut that wasn't mine was considered selling out. And as I progressed as an artist, that motto quickly went away from me. Dad's always been such a big advocate of the best song always wins, whether your name's on it or whether it's not on it, because it's not even about publishing anymore. It's about how is that song going to take your career from this level to this level to this level. And when I heard Crash and Burn for the first time, I mean, anything that I get pitched with Chris Stapleton's voice, I'm more than likely going to put it on hold in the first place. And then go cry myself to sleep because I can't sing like that, and then wake up and figure out how I'm going to make it my own. And so from the first time I heard Crash, I think I didn't even know what the song was about. I just knew that I loved the melody and I loved Chris singing it. Then when I found out it was a song about heartbreak, it's like the happiest breakup song that I've ever heard. And then I knew that I had to have it, and everybody at the label loved it. And so the next task was, how are we going to go cut this and, remotely compare to how Stapleton did it. And so we did it, and obviously had to drop it a few keys, but it turned out great, man. And now that when I sing it, I feel like I was a co-writer on the song. That's how close it is to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I decide how I'm going to cut an outside song. If I live with an outside song a bunch, and when I start singing and I feel like I was in that room, even if I wasn't, I think that those are the outside ones you hang on to.
It is. And a lot of times, we were talking about that earlier today. Musicians and certainly the artists, in a lot of ways, are co-writers.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
We all know from writing songs, you get in the studio sometimes to do a demo, and you look at the guitar player and go, I need a Keith Richards kind of lick on the front of this,
And they do it.
And
if it weren't for that, it wouldn't be the song.
It is, and Satisfaction wouldn't be Satisfaction without I can't tell you why.
I know.
But it's all part of the creative process, and you certainly made it your own, so
well, thanks, man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey, and good luck to you. Keep up the good work, man. Come back and see me.
I will. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.